Hi, it's Father John Rushofsky. I'm here with another exciting episode of The Shepherd's Voice. We're here in my office. I say we because I have a special guest with me today, and it's a name you may have heard, especially if you've been involved in some of the evangelization programs that we've been going through the last few years. And the person with me is Dr. Michel Therrien. He is the director of Preambula. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But he wants to talk about the way, which is, if you've seen in our bulletin and on Flock Note and so forth, that this is coming up very soon. Dr. Therrien actually is known nationally and has done a lot of work in this area and has a lot of experience teaching. And so, in fact, we're going to talk about that. But he also is married and has how many children? Four children. So he's well grounded in reality, I would think, with that experience. So, anyways, Michael, welcome. And you don't mind if I call you Michael?
No, that's fine. Thank you, Father.
Good. And so Preambula is an organization that you started, I guess.
Yes.
And maybe tell us what that's about. Preambula, those of us who have a little Latin in our background understand what the word means, but maybe you can explain what it means in your case.
Yeah, it is a strange word. So it comes from a phrase that I love, preambula fidei, which would literally mean preambles of faith, but I like to translate it as seeds of faith. So I started Preambula Group in 2019, and basically our mission is to try to cultivate the seeds of faith that God has planted in people's hearts and help them grow. And we do that, in a number of different ways. One of which is to offer this experience, which we call the Way, which is being offered here just in a week. It's starting. We have 2 cohorts starting.
Right, yeah, and we're very excited about that too. And maybe you could tell us what the way is, what it means, and why it's important.
Sure. So, Christianity actually in the Acts of the Apostles is referred to as the Way, and I think it was called that because it wasn't so much like a philosophy or a set of propositions, but it was really a way of living in the world as a disciple of Jesus Christ. So as I was looking around the diocese, I worked in the diocese for 5 years as the secretary for evangelization and did some other leadership work, development work in the diocese. And as I looked around the diocese, there was a lot of great programs going on with evangelization, like Christ Life and Alpha and different things like that. But the question that I kept getting was, so now what? What do I do next? I've done this whole thing and I want to keep growing, but I don't know what to do next. So I had a lot of people ask me that question. Anyhow, when I started Preambula Group, I wanted to lay out kind of a road map of opportunities, formative experiences that lay Catholics could have to continue growing in their faith. And so the first step in that journey is called the Way. It's 8 weeks long, and people ask, well, who is this for? And I'd say, people that have a relationship with Christ, but want to go deeper in that relationship. They want to deepen their prayer life. They want to have more of a personal encounter with Christ. They want to discover more sort of intimately who He is for them in their life. And they want to do that in the context of Scripture. They really want to encounter Jesus in Scripture, learn how to pray with Scripture. This is a great opportunity. It's 8 weeks long, and we build the whole experience around a different scripture passage each week that we really delve deeply into and we pray with, and then we reflect upon who Jesus is in that passage, and then we try to apply that to our lives through a number of different activities, spiritual exercises that I have people do.
Do you find in your work that there are people who really are what's the word I want to use here, yearning for something like this, that this is something that maybe they have discovered has been missing in their life? I mean, I seem to be sensing this myself in my interactions with people, and I've been hearing confessions for 44 years, and there's nothing I haven't heard, but I see people searching.
Yeah.
And so maybe you can.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's interesting because on the front side sometimes it's hard to describe what an experience like this is like. If anybody's been on a really powerful retreat, it's the same kind of thing. It's like on the front side, it's hard to explain what it's going to be like. But what I hear after people go through the experience of the way, it's very common. People will say, I just never knew, and they'll say things like this: I never knew that God cared this much for my life, my individual particular life. I know God loves us in general, but I didn't know he loved me so much. Or I never really knew how to pray. I've always said my prayers, but I just really didn't know how to pray. And this is really, especially with Scripture, and this has really helped me learn how to pray with Scripture. Or I just, there's a lot of things that go on inside of me, and I know I want to grow, but I just am not sure how to do that. So afterwards, when people go through the experience of the way, I hear a lot of that kind of feedback. Like, this has been a really transformative experience for me, because these are things that I kind of wanted to do, but I just didn't know how. And this is showing me the way, which is part of the reason why we call it the way. So.
Is this intended for a specific population, an age group, or married or single, or?
No, not particularly. I would say anybody 18 years and older, an adult, Catholic. But I would say the one caveat would be someone who really wants to grow in their faith. Someone who's really looking for a way to go deeper. And we like to say, we want to lead people more deeply into the heart of Jesus. And then eventually we want to lead people out into the world to share their experience of Jesus with other people, so other people can come in and have that same kind of experience as they've had. So that's the goal. So I would say, some people just want a head knowledge of the faith, and this isn't a class. It's not really a course in doctrine or catechesis. It's really meant to be a spiritual experience where a person, each week they're encountering the Lord in a new kind of way and trying to go deeper in that relationship. And so I like to describe it more as we're really trying to deal with stuff on the interior life and the heart. There's other programs that we have in the church that are wonderful for learning the faith in a more sort of intellectual way. But we're trying to fill a gap because we don't see enough of those experiences that people can have that really help them grow in their prayer life, help them grow in their relationship with God. So.
In your experience of this program, I don't know if I call it a program. I don't like the word program. It makes it sound like it's something that's orchestrated. But I guess whatever we would call it. In your experience, what impact has this had on people? What have they had a goal that they have met, or is it an ongoing thing, or what is the impact?
Yeah, well, one of the things I say at the very beginning is that the Lord will meet us wherever we are in an experience like this. And the goal is to help, to encourage people to just take the next several steps that the Lord wants to take with them. And people, we all have different seasons of life. Some people are at mountaintop moments and they want to go higher, and other people are in the valleys and they're trying to dig out, and regardless of where a person is, the Lord's going to meet you there, and he's going to meet you there through his word, in Scripture. And he's going to meet you there in the context of a community of people that are journeying together. Wherever we are, we're in this together. And so it's a great place to find community and connection and fellowship. But the thing is, it's hard to predetermine where people are going to end up at the end of an experience like this. It depends on how open they are, to going where the Lord wants to lead them, where the Spirit's going to lead them. But I would say that what I do see is it really is a transformative more than an informative type of an experience. And by that I mean that people experience a pivot in their life that leads them in a direction where they genuinely feel their life is going in a better direction, because they feel like that relationship with Christ has deepened, and they feel more connected to God. And as a result of that, they feel like they have a little bit more direction and guidance. And a lot of people are just dealing with a lot of stuff, especially in a post-COVID environment. There's just a lot of people are suffering. A lot of people are in difficult spots in their life, whether it's individually or with their families or their work. And what I'm seeing is that this is providing a kind of forum for people to just go deeper within, and be able to begin to sort through some of that stuff and find the Lord in the midst of that, and find some comfort and consolation. I've had people come up to me and say, literally in tears saying, I really needed this right now in my life. I really needed this. And that, of course, is very gratifying to, not everybody says that, of course, but it's wonderful. So I think that, again, if people are looking for some way to go deeper in their faith, to get into a deeper relationship with Jesus, because we always talk about this, but it's like, well, how do I do that? This is
the how.
This is a good way to begin going into that deeper place with Him.
Now, you want to maybe tell us, like, how, if somebody is interested, just from hearing you talk, now, what do they do?
Yeah.
I mean, how will they, where will this be, and when will it begin, and so forth?
Yeah. Well, we have 2 cohorts starting actually next Tuesday. It's not too late to sign up. So anybody can sign up even the day of. Honestly, if they show up, we'll get them signed up. But it's nice because the parish is subsidized, and there's no registration fee for the parishioner to go through this, which is great. But if you look in the bulletin, or you look, I think, on the website, there's a QR code. You can take that picture of that. That'll take you to the registration page, or you can just go to our website, which is listed on all the advertisements that the parish has, and you can. There's a drop-down menu that has our different programs. So you just click on the way, and it'll take you to the registration page. It's a pretty simple registration. We just get some basic information so we can communicate with everybody.
So it seems rather easy and painless.
Yes.
And right.
And if it isn't, you can always reach out to me.
Okay.
And we'll help you.
Well, that's good to know. And as you mentioned, the parish has subsidized this, and
Yes.
Right, because this is something that we believe very strongly in, and how we are. This idea of evangelization is something we are putting on the front page of the parish, and maybe just before we close up here, maybe Michael, you could mention about what evangelization is, so a lot of people are afraid of it. We were talking a few minutes ago before we started that some people have a misinformation or an incorrect idea of what evangelization is or what it should be. So maybe you could address that briefly.
Yeah. Well, I think the caricature of evangelization is someone who's sort of overbearing, who's trying to constantly jam something into someone's head, trying to convince them aggressively to believe in something. And I in the whole history of the church, that's really not what evangelization is. I think what happens when when God really gets a hold of a person's heart and they're really on fire for the love of God, you just can't really help yourself, because you want to share that. It's like when you fall in love with, say, I'm a married man now, 26 years, and when I fell in love with my wife, I wanted to tell everybody about this person that I had met and this person that I love. And I continue to want to do that, all these years later. And I think that's really what it's good. Evangelization, we're sharing the good news of God's love for us. And we do that in a lot of ways. We do that through the example of our life. We do that through the words that we share with other people. It could be words of encouragement. It could be words of invitation, like we could invite someone to have an experience with us. We can take care of people who are in need. We can listen to people. But evangelization is really about going out into the world, because God sends us out into the world to share, the good news of God's love for us with other people. And there's all sorts of ways to do that, and we each have our own unique way of doing that. Some people are extroverts and are really good at talking to other people, and other people are quiet introverts and are more just a presence in other people's lives that's steady and abiding. But the key is that we have to take our faith out. I think sometimes as Catholics we love to consume, and receive, and because we go to the parish and we receive all these beautiful sacraments, but the Lord, like we hear at the end of Mass, go forth. We're really sent out in the world. So my last thought on this is just that going through experiences like this helps us receive the kind of formation that helps us feel more confident and comfortable going out to others and sharing our love of Christ with other people, instead of kind of keeping it to ourselves.
That's a very good point. And at the end of Mass, the priest often says, or deacon at the dismissal, go in peace, glorifying the Lord by your life. And I think we don't always fully understand or appreciate what those words mean. That's what the purpose of the Mass is. The shorter ending, the shorter dismissal is, go forth, the Mass is ended. And it sounds like, okay, boy, now we can get out of here. But the go forth is the important part, because go forth means take what you have received here at Mass and take it out and take it to others. And I think that's an important message. So, Michael, thank you for being with us. It's been a pleasure talking with you and hearing about the way. And I hope this has been informative to our viewers. And once again, thanks for watching, and on we merrily go.